Do you want an accurate natal chart reading to know the true position of the sun, the moon, and each planet at the moment that you were being born? We at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge will create a precise natal chart for you and your loved ones, coupled with snapshot pictures of each planet, the sun, the moon, plus the constellations related to them. In addition to this, we will be giving you a detailed report of the alignment of planets to the constellations and its full meaning, not from an astrological perspective, but from an ancient astronomical perspective. You will have this report for the rest of your life and can share it with your friends and your family. To order your accurate natal chart today, visit our website, priestisaacinstitute.com, or email us, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Blessed.
While churches rose to the sky in Europe, in 12th century Africa, they were being carved out of the ground. These Christian pilgrims in Ethiopia are on their way to worship at one of them. In these highlands, in the 12th century, Lalibela, a new king from a new dynasty, built a new holy capital. Today, Lalibela's legacy lives on in the physical splendor of the churches and the traditions of their guardian priests.
My blessed people and congregation, churches with no mud, no wood, and no cement. You cannot find anything like this in the rest of the world. You are all blessed because you are here. This place was built by God.
Every year on St. George's Day, pilgrims gather to celebrate a faith that has endured here for 16 centuries. These Christians claimed that God brought the Ark of the Covenant and the tablets of the Ten Commandments to their land. On holy days today, priests carry on their heads replicas of the tablets, wrapped in gilded cloth. The people of Ethiopia have been carving churches out of mountains for more than 1,000 years. But the 11 churches of Lalibela symbolize their achievement to the outside world. King has become a legend, his story told by monks even today.
There was a city called Roha, where lived a man who belonged to one of the most noble of families, one of the richest in gold, silver, garments, precious stones, servants and maids. He had a child who became the mysteriously named Lalibela.
In the legend, the king's greatness was recognized at birth. A swarm of bees descended on his cot as if around honey.
His mother named him Lalibela, which means the bee has recognized him as king. But these were not bodily bees, but angels who took bee form in order to announce his reign.
God sent one of his angels to bring Lalibela to heaven, to show him the most holy of churches. Lalibela, the story goes, ordered tools to be made to carve temples like those he'd seen in heaven. His craftsmen turned the wild mountainside into a new Jerusalem.
And as always, we definitely glorify power and might of the Holy Trinity. Negus and Agas, give thanks for your presence with us even at this hour. We welcome you to the Tiger's Nest. Of course, Haile Selassie I is exalted at this moment. Your humble servant, the Honorable Priest Isaac, here with you. A joyous evening, still basking in the fullness of the moon, and of course, again, bringing to you another edition of the Shock of the Hour. Yes, the Tiger's Nest in full effect. I really pray that everything is blessed with each and every one. Enough respect and love to, of course, the tribe, all family, all loved ones. Those who are subscribers to this program, the Tiger's Nest program, I'm very thankful for your presence. Those who are not subscribers, remember a very simple thing to do. All you have to do is email us, Priest Isaac Institute at gmail.com. That's Priest Isaac Institute at gmail.com, and let us know that, yeah, I would like to be a part of the subscription team. And of course, you'll never, ever miss another episode of the Tiger's Nest program at all. Hey, family, you're going to have a wonderful sit down this evening. We are going to be going into some African geopolitics mixed with some economics at the same time. And politics and economics really go together all of the time because it's all about the money. Okay? It's all about the paper trail. It may not be good economics, but it's still about the money. It's still about the finance. It's still about the dough, following the dollar. So we're going to be dealing with some of that this evening. In fact, that's the primary outlook for this evening. There is a conference, a summit currently taking place in the West African country of the Ivory Coast. It is the African CEO Summit. So a lot of individuals within the scope of big business and enterprises and industry, that is related to Africa and in Africa at this summit as we speak. And today they had a few leaders from the African continent. One, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. He gave he spoke in an interview format, as well as Paul Kigami of the where is he the president? Rwanda, pardon, Rwanda. Yes, and I think and a few other African leaders. But really, it is those two leaders I really would like to highlight this evening as they made their presentation as it relates to Africa, as it relates to finance, as it relates to the economy, as it relates to Africa going forward, um, industry and sustainability. These words you hear the diplomats repeat them all the time. Take it from me. As an individual that really keeps up with the different forums and the different summits. Several summits are taking place. Right now, they have the 83rd, pardon me, Extraordinary Summit, African Summit taking place on human rights. They had another summit not too long, just the other day. In fact, summits and conferences and all that are related to continually take place on the African continent. And many of these conferences and expos, etc., take place in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia. And it sounds nice and very glamorous and so forth. But it would be really sad if we continually make these gatherings, if we continually make these summits nothing but talking shops. You understand? Now, I'm not just here speaking behind a microphone, you must understand. We are the publishers of the ambassador's pen. Like in a few days, there's another summit taking place right here in Antigua, a tourism travel summit. We will be there. The previous, investment conference that took place a few weeks ago, we were there. At the same time, you have the heads of the OACS. I think that conference is coming up in June. We will be there. So we have a front seat understanding of what we are saying when we say we hope that a lot of these gatherings don't just continually become at the end of it, a suit and tie event, but just a heap of talking. The action, because at the same time, when it comes to these events, usually only a specific type of people get invited. And these are the people that are affected in any way by any benefits that come out of these conferences. So the regular person in the street, the ordinary man that's, downtown waiting to hear the results of all of this talk, doesn't really feel the effect of the talk. This is what I'm saying. This is reality. Rastafari, this is a real world we're living in. As you can see, the younger generation that is coming up don't have no time to play. Whether they understand the history, whether they are fully knowledgeable of the stuff that you know and what you already went through, they give thanks, but they don't have no time to play. They want to see something being done. You understand? And that's why you have people like myself who are, on the front line to even guide them away from any level of ignorance so that their passion and their fire can be, led in the right direction. You understand? So as many ones are now standing up, at least in their words, with Brother Ibrahim Chore. And I have to say that, remember, we are on the battlefield. We are on the battlefield. And I know many ones are riding the wave. But when the fire comes at your doorstep, I hope you are ready to take up arms and join the battle. And you may say, well, don't worry, the priest is speaking symbolically. Of course I'm speaking symbolically. And literally too. This is a real world. You have different levels to this. The brother Chore that everybody is hailing. When I say everybody, even down to our own public officials that were elected by our electorate, who say they don't back coup and all of that stuff. They are praising Brother Ibrahim and the great works he's doing in Burkina Faso. Well, do you think he took over Burkina Faso with some symbolic arms? Some esoteric firepower? Yeah. So there are different ways to get the job done. And that's just reality. And I think at this moment, the whole world seems to agree with that. Because that's how the hero came to power. He wasn't voted in, you know. In fact, he said he was going to give the people um, the country back to democratic rule. And he changed his mind. Changed his mind. Don't worry. I don't think nobody is ready for this. And I think he made the right decision as well. I'm talking about Brother Ibrahim Traore. You understand? And of course, you know for sure the ambassador's pen, definitely the revolutionary edition, and of course highlighting not only the good brother but highlighting his great predecessor Thomas Sankara, and a lot of beautiful articles and features inside of the revolutionary edition of the ambassador's pen. So at the same time, royal family, let us understand and take a proper look at the scope of what is taking place in Africa. Because I myself, I'm not playing politics here. I'm playing reality. I'm not even playing. I'm presenting reality. There are a lot of great works, and especially when it comes to growth and development, that is taking place in the country of Ethiopia. And why that is very important. I don't think the revolutionary mindset is the exact same at all as Brother Ibrahim Traore. But at the same time, royal family, because of the importance of Ethiopia, Ethiopia was in darkness from Haile Selassie the first, and what's his name there? Um, the Derg and Mengistu coming, it was as if darkness came over Ethiopia to a degree. You know, it wasn't the same. Those of you who lived in the time of Haile Selassie, you know, you understood that Ethiopia was always on the front line, not for war, but for growth and development. But after when the Derg came in, it just became this gray kind of stuff. Even I and I, as Rastafari, who hail Ethiopia and the promised land and Zion and all of that, yet still there wasn't that strong ray of light as such coming from Ethiopia. And when the TPLF took over and the few prime ministers that they would have had, some of them I can't even remember their names, you know, there wasn't any great hoorah. But in reality now, the truth is, like him or like him not, from the present Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, from he stepped in and came and took the reins of power, the whole world has acknowledged the speedy growth and efficient, I would add, growth that Ethiopia is now experiencing. And I'm not going to take the rest of the program to try to go into that details. In fact, you get a good understanding of that in the ambassador's pen. You know, remember the link for the previous ambassadors' pens are in the description for those who will be observing the video format of this. In the description below the video, you literally have the links to all the magazines that we would have produced thus far, from Kidemi to the ambassador's pen. So, of course, we have a special feature, the African Union summits, and also the Forerunner edition. And both of these ambassador pens give you a good idea of the progress that is taking place in Ethiopia, and that is something that we will continually highlight. And, you know, just for your knowledge sake, you know, don't get caught up in the fantasy too much. Let's keep our head as such within the scope of knowledge and understanding. Great works are taking place within Africa. You see, Ethiopia, unlike many of these countries that are giving away their resources for nothing, Ethiopia on the other hand, for example, just quickly, I'm not jumping a bit there. The GERD dam. I don't like the name GERD at all. I know what it stands for. It's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, but GERD is the same letters as the acronym for DERG. GERD and DERG. And the DERG is like the worst period of Ethiopia. So the Renaissance dam, the GERD, though, billions of dollars that would have gone into it, or United States dollars, but it's in the billions. Do you know how much um, of that money we had to borrow from the IMF or France or England? Now, I know Ethiopia has some relationship with the IMF for sure. But when they built the the GERD, which is, I'm telling you, which is still in the process of being built, it is the Ethiopians that came and put their money, millions, thousands, tens, pennies, to build the GERD, the dam, you know. So in the same way that Marcus Mosiah Garvey would have allowed us to invest in the Black Star Line steamship enterprise, and we would have received our certificate. It's the same way that you have thousands of Ethiopians, maybe millions really. I'm not sure, but it's a lot of people who would have given their pennies and dollars and savings and fortune and land and possession so that the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam could be produced. And at this moment, it is providing Ethiopia with 60% of its electricity. And they are already selling electricity to Sudan and I think Kenya as well. And the dam is not completed as yet. I think it's about two-thirds completed, you know, complete. Yeah. So I'm just showing you that at the same time we have to think broad, you know. And I laugh because I met an elder today. You know, he may be listening to this program, and I hope he get a chuckle from it. And he met me in Veggie World Health Food Store. That's a plug for Veggie World there. And he was saying, "Hey, listen, priest, listen. There's only one president in the world." He was saying this. There's only one president in the world. He's my elder, maybe about 15 years. Eh? There's only one president in the world. And I said, I assume you're talking of Ibrahim Choudhury. He said, who else I could be talking about? There's no other leader in the world. And I said, these president, prime ministers too? There's none. And I said, so what about the prime minister of Ethiopia? And he said, who is he? And at the time, the name was evading me, and I was with the Honorable Princess Akesha Menin. And as always, I said, what's the man name in Ethiopia? And she remembered Abiy Ahmed. And the good brother, my elder too, said, I never heard of him. Okay. And I told him, well, Google such and look into such and that's it. So I'm just saying, at the same time, when it's time to go on the battlefield, you want to keep focus. That's my point. It's nice to celebrate and be happy, but we need to keep focus. Now is the time with all of this burst of consciousness and especially young people realizing that yes, we've been robbed and spoiled. Everyone is repeating the rhetoric that we've been saying for some time now. When I say we, not me, you know. We whose shoulders people like myself even stand on. Everybody knows now that Africa resources go to Europe and come back as products. Nobody knew that a couple of years ago, I'm telling you. In fact, you were speaking lies to say them things there, but now everyone knows, and that's why the young people are angry and they're happy to see someone standing up in Burkina Faso just as they stood up already in Thomas Sankara for, again, the people, you know, and our resources. Don't get me wrong, family, many ones stand up for our people, you know, but again, you know the end result. And that is why many people are standing up again behind the head, the leader in Burkina Faso, because everyone knows now the playbook of the wicked. Eh? When they took down Patrice Lumumba, maybe some of us were scratching our heads like, well, what happened there? Eh? When they overthrew Nkrumah and the people were, we said, oh, wait, Nkrumah, you sure? How that happened? Eh? Yeah, but it's a different time now. Yeah, a different time now. Listen, the enemy, right, is so scared. I don't know who is saying who is trying to kill who. The way that the masses are rising up. Listen, man, let me be the first to say, black people just have a lot of talking. Oh yeah, I'm not asking you. I don't care who vex with me. I'm not asking. Bob Marley sing it. How long shall they kill our prophets? And we stand aside and look. Now, Brother Bob, is not all the time we stand aside and look. One or two times they kill our prophets and we burn down the city. But then when we burn down the city, what happened after that? What good, what benefit is that to us? We release some level of anger, but then that's it. So I'm happy to see ones very strong and militant in their mind frame from all over the world. Yeah, people putting on the military suit. Yeah, yeah. But I hope we are strategic in our thinking at this moment. This is the time when it's needed. So, young minds, this is the time to sit in and get good knowledge, good understanding of your history. This is the time to read good books. You see, with this wave here, elders, OGs, now is the time to catch the youths, all the youths that telling you, yeah, yeah, Thomas Sankara, and yeah, sit them down and teach them about Thomas Sankara. They have some nice videos about Thomas Sankara on the internet. Sit with them, form a little club, let them really see who Thomas Sankara really was, and then introduce them to Samoa Michelle and let them understand their history. This is the time. Catch them now. Everybody's a revolutionary. Everybody is a, yeah, military. Okay, well, we don't, that's not how you join this club here. You know, happy to see you come in. But you got to go through the orientation as well. Or else you're going to go on the battlefield and it's going to be a lot of friendly fire. Take it from me. We love discipline, eh? Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Royal family, to be honest, I don't know how I got into that conversation there. That was not the script at all. The plan was to get into some of the economic discussion that took place today, and we are still going to do that. But again, the ambassador's pen, for those who will be observing the video, the links for the ambassador's pen is in the description below the video. And again, remember, this is the Tiger's Nest. If you're not a subscriber, just email us and make sure you get on the subscription team so you get the nightly program every night. And hey, those who are observing the video as well, you know, make sure you subscribe to the channel that you are watching and your notification bell. All of those who are subscribers, remember, make sure you put on your notification bell so that you know when we are coming, premiere or live or whatever it is. And again, subscribe. Just press the subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. Hey, just do all the good stuff, man. You know what you're supposed to do. Share the link. You understand? Share the link with a friend and WhatsApp and email. Yeah, giving you a lot of work to do. Eh? Well, yeah, that's it. Because I mean, we we do a lot of work too as well. So it's just a balance. King Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. All right. So what we are going to do here now, as I said, we are going to be taking in a bit of the economic CEO, African CEO Forum. So it's economics, basically. And we're going to be hearing from President Paul Kigami, as well as the president of South Africa, and President Kigami is the president of Rwanda. And we'll be hearing from President Cyril Ramaphosa from South Africa. I know a lot of Ramaphosa fans are listeners and subscribers to the Tiger's Nest, South Africa, without a doubt, in the house. All right, so let us take in a bit of this. And in fact, before we take that in, let us take in this message here first. Give thanks. Do you want an accurate natal chart reading to know the true position of the sun, the moon, and each planet at the moment that you were being born? We at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge will create a precise natal chart for you and your loved ones, coupled with snapshot pictures of each planet, the sun, the moon, plus the constellations related to them. In addition to this, we will be giving you a detailed report of the alignment of planets to the constellations and its full meaning, not from an astrological perspective, but from an ancient astronomical perspective. You will have this report for the rest of your life and can share it with your friends and your family. To order your accurate natal chart today, visit our website, priestisaacinstitute.com, or email us, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Bless it.
Are you surprised that only 17% of these business leaders feel that the AFCFTA has impacting their business?
Yes, well, it is.
Because you're a big advocate of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes, which I'm about to speak about. It's quite concerning if that is the perception.
All right. So again, give thanks. So you're definitely listening to the voice again of the South African Prime Minister, that is, or is it President Ramaphosa? President Ramaphosa, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, and he was asked a question there by the host, and of course he's going to engage in answering the question, go into the discussion more so. So I'm just giving you a little understanding again so that you have a better comprehension. All right. So yes, give thanks. Tiger's Nest in full effect.
As I walked in with President, that is
Trade area.
yes, well, it is.
Because you're a big advocate of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes, which I'm about to speak about. It's quite concerning.
One more moment. So again, he asked him a question as it relates to the ATCF, or I should more refer to it as the ATCFTA, which is the African Continental Free Trade Area. You get that? African Continental Free Trade Area. So, I mean, I want you to get the full understanding of the discussion here. because it's what they call in the diplomatic world a high-level discussion with a lot of um, big words and basically what they call convoluted language, really. So you got to be wise to get through the rhetoric to really know what some of these people are saying. You know, that's why we just like it straight down the bowling alley, really. But anyway, let's get to this.
Acting their business?
Yes, well, it is.
Because you're a big advocate of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes, which I'm about to speak about. It's quite concerning if that is the perception. You know, as I walked in with President Ouattara, President Kagame and others, as I entered this room, I could smell money. And I welcome this opportunity to sit here and look at people who have money or control money. And as I look at all of you and I say, wow, these are people who control a lot of money on the continent.
Right.
And I want them to smell the coffee and go beyond their 17% skepticism, because the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a fundamentally transformative mechanism that was adopted by the leaders of the continent. And we should recognize and applaud the fact that the political leaders under the aegis of the AU saw wisdom, and led by President Issoufou, and President Kagame was leading the reform process. They saw wisdom in scaling the fortunes of Africa up and moving us just beyond just talking about politics and the unity of the continent, and wanting to put in place the real building blocks of what will support that unity and the progress on our continent. And that was about the economic growth of the continent through engendering trade, and that's why the African Continental Free Trade Area was adopted. So it is an engine of growth, and through it we'd like the private sector to embrace it, to participate in it, because what it does, it gives the African continent an opportunity to integrate, and it gives business people the opportunity to see the 1.4 billion people market on our continent, and a GDP of the entire continent adding up to $3.4 trillion. Now, with this agreement, we're then able to get the private sector working with the public sector to embark on meaningful projects such as infrastructure, because for trade to have meaning and to happen on our continent, infrastructure projects must be embarked upon, roads must be built, our airlines must work properly, our ports must work properly, our rail network must work properly. And this is where the private sector can then come and partner with the public sector, where we can work together. And the public sector is keen, having established or inaugurated the African Continental Free Trade Area, in integrating the continent. I saw the integration of the continent during COVID-19, when together as a continent we integrated ourselves when it came to personal protective equipment, and we set up a supplies organization or platform where we bought things together as a continent. And then we came to vaccines, when the West just kept on supplying vaccines to us, and President Kagame, President Macky Sall, myself, and many others then said, we want to make our own vaccines. And then we started a process of integration of things like vaccines into Africa. So we started seeing integration. And what has that led to? A number of businesses being established. So what I'm saying is, we would like the private sector to follow in tandem with the public sector to embrace the AFCTA and also be active participants. Now, What the public sector will do is to de-risk, particularly when it comes to infrastructure projects, to de-risk a number of these projects through, obviously, the sovereign financial systems that we have in each country, and allow the private sector to participate. So we are twins, we are pods, and we need to work together. And I'd like to see that 17% skepticism whittling down.
Right.
This is a platform that the private sector must be active in. And the other benefit they will get is that it leads to institutional capacity improvement. It bolsters our skills base, the talent that the continent should have. It opens up trading regions beyond just the regions, but to the whole continent. And this is precisely what we are going to be advocating also at the G20 when it comes to things like critical minerals. We want a critical minerals accord that will enable all of us to manage our critical minerals properly. And we can only do so when the public sector and the private sector move together and work together. So your money should be put to good use. We must not just smell it. You must come and put it to real good use. Thank you.
Thank you. President Ramaphosa, these people are sold. You're preaching to the choir in some ways. We all believe in the dream of the FCFTA. But the borders are closed. The flights are expensive. We can't get visas to South Africa.
Now, don't be too personal. But the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is going to be the pathfinder, the road opener for all that. It's
right.
going to enable all that. The movement of goods, the movement of people, the issue of visas is currently being addressed. And
right.
The pace might be slow, but it is happening, and it is going to happen. It's going to open the floodgate for economic activity on our continent.
All
and
right.
I would say, watch this space. It is going to happen.
Thank you, sir.
Now, do you understand? Because we want to comprehend exactly what we're listening to. Give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, this is the Tiger's Nest, somewhat of a slightly extended edition, and we have a bit more to go. But again, first of all, even before we jump into what the president of South Africa was saying there a moment ago, you know, we did a program a few evenings ago as it relates to the whole aspect of the economy and money, really. And we were speaking of the concept of fiat money, really. Fiat, really, that was the discussion. And the reality that true money is backed by gold. In fact, the first exchange that we refer to as money, or medium of exchange that we call money, was silver and gold. Even I'm talking about minted coins, they were silver and gold. You know, the paper came in when someone said, hey, we can back this with silver and gold. All right. So the paper is almost like a check. Imagine that. That's the level that we are on. And none of that is backed by gold. You know, at least not the money that most of us spend. You see me? I think Zimbabwe's money has some level of backative. For sure. Before they murdered Gaddafi, the dinar was being backed by some great quantity of gold. I think it was China alone that had a greater gold deposit than Libya at the time. I wonder where that gold is now. You see, can you imagine that? So the concept of money being backed by gold, it is when Richard Nixon killed that whole process. The 15th of August, 1971. Do your research and check that one out. the 15th of August. Well, we mentioned all of that in the program, but for those who may not know, the 15th of August, 1971. And when they killed the whole gold standard, they said, hey, tell you what, we're going to make, uh, the US dollar the king. Because remember, that's really was the original idea, that the US dollar was the dollar that was backed by gold. And the rest of the world would lean on the US dollar because she's the one with all the value. That's really what it was. In a sense, Richard Nixon pulled the plug on that. But the world still leans on the US dollar as if it has that much value. Hey, listen, this is a serious propaganda illusion game that is taking place here. And print some more money. That's what's run the world, man. Print some more money. Print some more money runs the world. You talk about counterfeit. Money in general is counterfeit. Money in general is monopoly money. The Corey shells have more value than George Washington's and Abraham Lincoln's and who else is on, and Jackson and Grant and Benjamin's face says on the paper. Yeah. So Peter Tosh, my brother, the day the dollar died. The day the dollar died. So it is very important. You see, if you are serious about financial freedom, if you are serious about full economic wealth, not just getting rich, surely not just having a lot of money, you ain't problems there. Rather worse if you're trying to save it in a bank. You're saving it. You're saving it. Is it drowning? Yes, it is. Oh, that's why you're saving it. Makes sense to me. You save things that are dying and need to be saved. But they don't teach you to invest it. You see, family, we have a lot to learn, but that's why we're here. Those of us that would have taken up the mantle to not just talk and chat, but to create institutions and curriculum and curriculi and courses and webinars and books and documentaries for all ages and sizes. Yeah, because we see that this is a serious mission, not just come and talk and try to run race with your brother. No, but to edify the generations, not the generation to come, the generations to come. Yeah. So we're still on the subject, far right. So the point is that when you are speaking of the economy, especially as a leader now of an African country, you know, your people need to understand this. Our conversation is beyond the paper dollar. It has to be. I know that the people at the lower end of the pyramid don't have no time for all your mathematics. They just want some money. We understand why. Because we have left them in an impoverished state. But this is why we're trying to lift them up. Did you hear what Ramaphosa was saying a moment ago? So the brother asked him, in a very jovial way, you know. I mean, it's quite expensive to get visas to come to South Africa. Imagine that. Imagine you're in the Ivory Coast or even in Botswana and you have to not only get a visa, but it's so expensive to get a visa to go into South Africa. The president of um, Botswana was with the very same Prime Minister of South Africa, or the President of South Africa, pardon me, about a week or so ago. And that was one of the key points for discussion because, there are a lot of so-called illegal uh, immigrants from Botswana inside of South Africa. And I think there's some level of agreement that they have, but I think the brother in Botswana wants the people in South Africa to lighten up a bit with their, I would assume, strong or staunch penalties for those that they catch that are illegally in South Africa from Botswana. So that's the sort of diplomacy that is taking place amongst leaders and amongst us as people, even in Africa. But what we're saying now is that, uh, and let me return, please bear with me, let me return to what Ramaphosa was saying. He was telling the brother now, this is what the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is all about. The, the, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is an organization or an apparatus, just to use that term, that has been created for us to deal with these problems so that free trade can become much more easier, that free movement can become much more easier. Are you listening to me, family? This is what he's telling the brother there, and of course the rest of us. But it takes time. He actually said that. But it takes time. Now, for sure, we should be way past that already as a people. In fact, Paul 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 Kigami is actually going to say that. Either he's going to say that with the upcoming speech he's going to give now, or he said it earlier, because this is just an excerpt of what took place today. And again, this is the the uh, the CEO African CEO Summit, and even this discussion here. Don't want to be bashing anyone, but some of us, this sort of discussion doesn't even excite us. Eh? We don't. This doesn't excite us. We don't see the reality and the importance of a discussion like this. That's why when some of us jump up and talk about, oh yeah, this man here, this is who I back in Africa. Sometimes I wonder how serious we are, or if we just following the hype and we just love to be in the crowd. No, I'm very serious. This ain't no time to play. Some of us, this level of conversation, especially when it comes to money and the economy and so somehow, I don't understand for people that run down the dollar so much. When the time comes to have a serious discussion on the economy, no, no. But just call a debate over if Jesus was black or white, and the house is packed. And I'm not necessarily speaking of this house or this forum here. I just mean my people in general, and that's it, my people in general. So anyone listening, no need to be offended if I'm not speaking to you, but I know I'm speaking to my people in general. Politicians are trained to speak a specific way and repeat specific rhetoric. Remember, as a diplomat, I would be around the politicians. And again, all of these different conferences that we have in Africa, and it's time to hear from the ambassador of such and such, and time to hear from the envoy of such and such. It's basically the same, sustainability and more bilateral agreement and friendly relations. Is as if we are trained to keep saying these things. And again, I will repeat, this is why you see great applause for leaders that not only take over country, but do good by their people. So at the same time, family, we got to look at the reality. Many of us, we don't visualize or vision an Africa with borders. Okay? And for sure, all the great revolutionaries, even Brother Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah sought for United States of Africa. Emperor Haile Selassie I, United States of Africa. But none of them said, okay, hey, just open the borders, everybody running. No, no, they still had a system, you know. They still had a system. But these individuals were working very feverishly on a system to make sure that they free up the rest of Africa, first of all, and integrate us as a people. Yet still, obviously, just like tribes have their culture, these same areas that have become countries would still have their culture. You know, there was never an argument over flag and anthem, you understand? But open borders was always on the agenda from the Organization of African Union. Free traveling, free trade for sure, and free traveling was always on the agenda. And that is why Paul Kigami would have said that we should have been further ahead by now. So although Mr. Ramaphosa is saying, you know, it will take time, we understand, but no, we don't want it to take too much time. And those of us in the diaspora, of course, we remember we're going to hear the message after the judgment is made in Africa. So we for sure need to hear good news that borders are open, and that's going to assist us when we have to return to mother. So the conversation is deep. And why I mentioned the dollar diet is that we got to think beyond paper. Remember, the economy is not necessarily paper. Paper just happens to be a medium that is utilized. Print some more. Very illegally, really. Print some more. It's almost like some of the wars that they fight now. You know, they break the rules. We are breaking the economic rules of the world. All of us, really. We're playing with Monopoly, print some more money that has no value and buying this and buying things of value. Well, take the paper and buy the gold. And do other good things with it that when the paper dies, you can say, okay, well, at least we have this. Because when the paper dies, the world is not going to come to an end. People still have to eat. Nothing's going to change. Don't worry. Don't worry. Things are going to still move. But what do you have of value to make sure you stand firm? All right. What we are going to do now, we are going to take in a bit of the president of Rwanda, that is Paul Kigami, and he will be, well, I guess, adding his 2 cents to the conversation here. And I hope all is well with each and every one. Remember, you're going to thumbs up the video, eh? Those who are watching, eh? Remember the links for the magazine, the Ambassador's Pen is in the description below the video, eh? For those who are watching the video and for those who are not subscribers to the Tiger's Nest radio program, you know exactly what to do. Email us and let us know, brother, I need to be a part of the Tiger's Nest radio program. Family, many things that we do here. We lecture internationally. You know, I know many of you sit and you listen and you say, brother, man, it would be nice if you were in our neck of the woods. You know, those of us here in Sydney, Australia, we love you. I just mentioned South Africa. Those of you in Quebec, Canada, wherever you are internationally, as you know, we travel and we do lecture. I'm not everywhere, not really necessarily omnipresent. So many of you, you're natural organizers. I'm not even calling people to do what they don't do. Some of you are organizers. Some of you have clubs, book clubs, children clubs, and utilize spaces like the library and the archives and these different things. Many of you are into promotion and bringing artists and bringing speakers. Well, your brother, Priest Isaac, is available. I think you know that. And I'm available to do workshops. I'm available to give lectures. Of course, as you can obviously see, we work with young ones. You may have a special program, you may have a special function taking place, some sort of seminar or expo, whatever it is. Your good brother, Honorable Priest Isaac, is always available wherever you may be in the world, any part of Africa, even if it's in Pakistan. What's going on in Pakistan? I hear some bombs dropping over there, but at the same time, we know how to move, maneuver. If it's in Bhutan, the original tiger's nest, all respect, wherever it is, Peru, Washington, D.C., UK. Yeah, we are definitely available. You already know how to contact us. Priest Isaac Institute at gmail.com. It's one thing I know. We're not hard to find at all. All right, let's continue.
Continental Free Trade Area is going to be the pathfinder, the road opener for all that. It's going to enable all that. The movement of goods, the movement of people, the issue of visas is currently being addressed. And the pace might be slow, but it is happening, and it is going to happen. It's going to open the floodgate for economic activity on our continent. And I would say, watch this space. It is going to happen.
Thank you, sir. President Kagame, another issue, there are several candidates here for president of the African Development Bank. And this is happening when we just learned recently that President Donald Trump intends to cut about $555 million to the concessional window. So they're going to take over an organization that still needs a lot of funding. But can we do it? And is it the right body to develop our continent, even when the EU, the US, and others are reducing how much they contribute to it? And this, I guess, is related to your earlier point, we can't rely on others.
Well, again, let me start from where my brother, President Ramaphosa, left off. One, we can pat each other's back and be happy that we are making progress, which is true. The continent is making progress. Where we are now is not where we were 30 years ago. But at the same time, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. And we don't need to blame anybody else. We just need to do what we have to do. Because I believe we can do better, we can do more, and we can do many things together. And that will take us very far. This kind of...
So I just have to come in here quickly. Did you get exactly what he's saying? He's saying he would agree that we would have made some sort of progress in the last 30 years. And, but, it's good that we're patting ourselves on the back, but we could do better. We could have reached further. It wasn't the punchline statement that he made when he said we should have been further ahead. Again, I can't remember if it's in this aspect of his speech or somewhere earlier, but it's the same sort of point that he is making. Let's continue.
Conversation, and what has been said by all of us most of the time has been going on more or less forever. We talk about Africa's potential, we talk about, the partnership between the private sector and public sector. As has been said, it's about resources, it's about money, it's about what we do in terms of investment. So we can't just appeal to the private sector to be part of that process, to join with the public sector and do what we need to do without incentivizing the private sector, because there is a lot government can do to create these incentives. And that, you know, it's about regulation, it's about laws, it's about all kinds of support that, and of course, a secure environment. We talk about good governance, we talk about earlier accountability was being talked about. These are real things that matter, and we should be making sure. If we don't, even to the question you've raised, we won't be making progress. Because, for example, let me go straight to the question. The cutting of budgets, cutting of aid, cutting of all kinds of things. And all of a sudden, we Africans, we wake up to this reality when it has been there so many times before, and we start scrambling. What do we do? No, what we need to do is what we should have done many years ago, and still we can do it. There is a mentality out there, it's sort of a mindset in our continent that somebody out there is going to foot the bill of our development. And that has undermined our effort to contribute as much as we can ourselves for our own development. So what we need to do, I mean, we need to do what we started doing. The frustration here for me is, we talked about how I championed the reform and worked with many other leaders on different subjects.
Go ahead.
But there is a sense of frustration.
Let's hear it.
That what we have agreed, even at a continental level, involving all leaders and how regional communities should work, with the AU at a continental level, is not implemented.
You hear what he said? He said what is irritating him is that what they would have agreed to as African leaders, obviously on a continental level, and even as it relates to other regional leaders, it is not implemented. Now, again, the little I know of the political world, that's how most things go, Only very few things get implemented. I don't know if he's, well, not surprised. He's been the leader of Rwanda for a while, several decades, isn't it? Yeah. So he should know how barley grow. That's a term we use around here. Know how barley grow. And I could tell you, Paul Kagame and even Museveni of Uganda, there was a time I was extremely critical of these two people here. And even in Congo, Kabila, the Kabilas in general, just the whole, that region of Africa. And at the same time, you got to understand, we're talking about the Congo, we're talking about Uganda, we're talking about Rwanda, and the constant fighting and killing, and many people would have lost their lives within that region because of corruption. Because of corruption. And I'm not in no leader's shoe. It's easy to talk from the stands, but I cannot see myself in any of them position there and not explaining properly to the international community why it is we're in this state properly with clarity. I mean, these are individuals that come to the microphone all the time. You see, family politics is a very deadly and dangerous game. There's more than meets the eye, that is for sure. I think every leader has an understanding of that reality. There's more than meets the eye. Mhm. Someone's have things to say, and it's as if they just cannot say. Someone's too far in and just can't get out, or afraid to get out. And if they get out, they know that's the end of it. Hmm. And most of us that are even listening to this program, some of you, you may not be into anything, but you know enough to know. And I don't mean what you learn from YouTube, maybe what you even see around you. You may not be in it, or you may be, but you know enough for sure to know there's a different world that is taking place right around you. Not a world really of any power, it creates its own power, you know. And even some of us, we thrive on the power of the white supremacists that would have oppressed us for so long and gone away now and left us with a little power. And we're ravishing over the power like wolves, fighting over scrap. I wonder if you understand the poetry. Is they go and leave us with the power, Well, we're going to give you independence now, so, we're going to leave a governor general here. You don't need no governor general, but you got to report to us every week. And you owe us some money now, so you're gonna keep paying us every year, and we're gonna keep coming for the gold, and we're gonna keep coming from the backside, and we're gonna keep coming for the whatever you have, we're coming for it. And the beach is ours, we're gonna build the hotels, and the lake is ours, but you're independent, and you can be the ruler, and you can be the president, and your family can have all the power. We're gonna make sure we print some money for you. Don't worry. We'll take the gold. We'll print the money. It's yours. Build a palace. Yeah. Well, former slave master, I don't think I want that deal. No, no. Hold on. Simon, that wasn't a deal, We weren't asking you. I was telling you what you're going to take. It's that or nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. The kind of nothing I'm talking about, you don't even exist. Yeah, so make up your mind. Do you want a coffin or do you want the president's suite? I think the choice is clear, Simon. And a lot of the leaders have gone through that. Many of them, especially in that time. Especially in that time. It's just reality. I don't know who exactly go through what, but they understand the danger of the game. And those of you who don't see it, up front. Again, you're watching enough movies, don't you? All right, Hollywood ain't lying. At least not there anyway. You watch enough documentaries, don't you? All right. Yeah, things that people say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Well, all theories are not false. Some theories end up to be the truth. Yeah. So family, give thanks for this conversation. It will continue. You better believe that. And of course, we're not saying it's doom and gloom at all. It's just the reality of the world that we live in. I want you to understand that. This is why we have the Ambassador's Pen, where we continue to cover subjects like this from a conscious point of view, subjects like this from a diplomatic point of view as well. And of course, we give thanks for your presence with us here in the Tiger's Nest. What a beautiful sit down this was. Of course, there's so much more that we could say, but everything has its time frame. Yes, family, give thanks if you know your Bible and you do not know your history. The knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. Yeah. And of course, it takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst us.
Give thanks, life giver, the keeper of life, Holy Emmanuel I. Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Thanks.
Do you want an accurate natal chart reading to know the true position of the sun, the moon, and each planet at the moment that you were being born? We at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge will create a precise natal chart for you and your loved ones, coupled with snapshot pictures of each planet, the sun, the moon, plus the constellations related to them. In addition to this, we will be giving you a detailed report of the alignment of planets to the constellations and its full meaning, not from an astrological perspective, but from an ancient astronomical perspective. You will have this report for the rest of your life and can share it with your friends and your family. To order your accurate natal chart today, visit our website, priestisaacinstitute.com, or email us, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Blessed.